Welcome to California Realty Online and another informative real estate presentation. My name is James Opiela and I'm the president and broker of record. Today's topic is about Section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code, which is commonly known as a 1031 exchange. A 1031 exchange is one of the most misunderstood and underutilized sections of the tax code. Unfortunately, many who have the opportunity to benefit from this code either don't know about it or don't believe they qualify for it. So what is a 1031 exchange? Right from the start, calling the procedure an exchange creates a lot of misunderstanding. It would be easier to comprehend the process if a 1031 exchange was relabeled as a 1031 rollover, because that is precisely what happens. The gain through the sale of one property, called the relinquished property, is rolled over to a new, quote, like-kind replacement property. Like-kind property means any property type that will be used for business income or investment property. Properly used, the 1031 exchange allows an unlimited number of times individuals can successfully roll over gain and postpone taxes. Realistically, taxes can be deferred again and again and completely eliminated upon death. Before we get into the specific requirements of a 1031 exchange, let's identify the third-party participants that are necessary to make this process work for investors like you. Since the IRS exchange code does not allow you to handle funds throughout the exchange process, it is necessary to hire what's called an intermediary, also known as an accommodator. The intermediary prepares the necessary documents required by the IRS for the exchange and holds funds from the sale of properties until the exchange is complete. The real estate broker is in charge of selling the relinquished property and closing escrow on a suitable replacement property. So let's get started on how this process works. There are four basic requirements involved in a successful 1031 exchange: property qualifications, tax deferral rules, timelines, and identification rules. Property qualifications designates the type of property which can replace the relinquished property. IRS code states that the replacement property must be like-kind. This may sound like a confusing term. Many believe that if the relinquished property is a duplex, then the replacement property must be a duplex as well, but this is not true. In the eyes of the IRS, like-kind can be any type of investment or business property. That means the relinquished property can be a duplex, and the replacement property can be a house, duplex, office building, industrial property, etc. It can even be land. However, the replacement property must be in the United States. Replacement properties in any other country are not permitted. IRS deferral rules require that the replacement property be of equal or greater value and that all proceeds from the relinquished property be used to purchase the replacement property. Realistically, holding back a portion of the proceeds can be done, but the amount will be taxed as a capital gain. Timelines for a 1031 exchange are critical and must be followed exactly. After the relinquished property is sold, you have 45 days to locate, identify, and catalog potential replacement properties. Also, on the day the relinquished property is sold, you have 180 days to complete the sale of the replacement property. Replacement rules designate how many properties can be identified in the 45-day timeline. The IRS code specifies two choices: the 3-property rule and the 200% rule. The 3-property rule states that a maximum of 3 replacement properties can be identified. If you choose to identify more than 3 replacement properties, the total value of all the replacement properties identified cannot exceed 200% of the sale of the relinquished property. Therefore, the 200% rule has significant limits since there is a maximum value placed on replacement properties. Looking at this picture, the relinquished property at the top sells for $500,000. Using the three-property rule, any of the three properties can be of various values to satisfy an exchange of $500,000 or more. If all three were $500,000, the total value of all replacement properties would be $1.5 million. However, the 200% rule limits all replacement properties identified to only $1 million. Okay, now that we know all the rules, regulations, and ins and outs of how a 1031 exchange works, let's go over a realistic example of how all this stuff plays out in real life. Let's say I own a rental home in sunny San Diego, and I've chosen one of the most knowledgeable real estate brokers in the business to sell my house, who happens to work for California Realty Online. My broker and I decide to put my home on the market on January 1st. My broker will get in touch with a highly qualified intermediary who all of us will be working with throughout this exchange process. As previously mentioned, the intermediary will prepare all the necessary IRS documents, will hold all the proceeds from the sale of my house until the exchange process is complete, will write down the addresses of potential replacement properties, and he will make sure the names on the title for the replacement property are the same as the names on the title of the house I'm selling. For all these services, the intermediary will charge a fee which is usually between $1,000 and $1,500. After accepting a reasonable offer on my house, the deal was put into escrow. The buyers financed the property, and after a couple of months, escrow is closed on March 17th, and my house is sold. Now, all the timelines that were previously mentioned kick in. My broker has come up with a list of several replacement properties that I really like. Since my house sold on March 17th, I have 45 days or until May 1st to let the intermediary know which three properties I have chosen for a potential replacement. Also, I have 180 days starting on March 17th to close the deal on whatever replacement property I have chosen. That means the deadline to complete the exchange is October 28th. As per IRS rules, the limit of days for all timelines do not change because of weekends and holidays. My broker has chosen three great investment properties: a duplex in Escondido for $535,000, a 20-room motel in Blythe near the California-Arizona border for $735,000, and another duplex in San Diego for $550,000. The intermediary catalogs these three properties just before May 1st. Guess what? I'm going to go with the motel in Blythe. It looks like a tremendous positive cash flow opportunity. The intermediary is given notice, and an offer of $735,000 is submitted to the seller of the motel by my broker. A few days later, the offer is accepted, and we're off to the races. Since the motel was $735,000 and my relinquished house sold for $500,000, there is a $235,000 difference, which I have chosen to finance since interest rates are relatively low. I'm still mindful of the deadline to close the deal of October 28th. Well, what do you know? It all worked out, and it's a done deal. Because I had a winning team to work with, I managed to sell my old rental house, buy a terrific investment motel with tremendous cash flow, and I avoided paying thousands of dollars in capital gain taxes. And here's more good news. I can continue to do more 1031 exchanges in the future. What a country! So there you have it. If you have any questions about how a 1031 exchange can help you, or if you're ready to get started on your own 1031 exchange, give me a call. This is James Opiela from California Realty Online. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I hope to hear from you soon.